Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Austmine webinar. I'm Robert Trebsky, Director of International Business at Austmine, and I'm pleased to be the host of today's webinar featuring the Eramet Safety First Innovation Challenge 2022. We would normally familiar with Sheldon Barker hosting these webinars. Sheldon is on annual leave enjoying his time in Adelaide, so we will have to have the pleasure of my facilitation of this webinar. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are hosting this webinar from the lands of the Gadigal people, and I pay my respects to the elders past and present. And I also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which you all work, and the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people attending this webinar. Today's agenda, next slide, please. As following my introduction, we will have 3 presentations by the Eramet team from Marion and Frederic, and also a presentation by Buondai on actually the context of the challenge, and then we will have the opportunity for Q&A. This webinar has been recorded, and if you would like to participate in a Q&A session, please post your questions in the Q&A box, not necessarily the chat box. So if you would like any questions to be answered, please use the Q&A box. So just a very few words about Eramet. As many of you might not be necessarily familiar with the company, which is very truly a global player. So headquartered in Paris, France, Eramet is a global mining and metallurgy group, being a key player in extraction and recovery of metals, including manganese, nickel, and mineral sands, as well as the development of processing high added value alloys. Eramet also supports the energy transition by developing activities with high growth potential, including recycling and extraction, and more recently refining of lithium in Argentina. Over the last few years, Austmine has developed a relationship with the nickel producing business branch, which is domiciled close to our shores, namely in New Caledonia. Société Le Nickel, or better known as SLN, has been producing nickel since 1880, so definitely a historical milestone. Today we will learn about Eramet's business in the following presentation, specifically the next one, which is absolutely mind-blowing, and as I said, we are not necessarily familiar with the business here in this part of the world. So Eramet and Austmine are very pleased to partner together with EIT Raw Materials to bring this opportunity to the Australian med sector. Today's webinar will provide most known information on SMEs and startups interested in participating in this open innovation initiative. For the webinar today, you will hear from Marion Lenoir, Head of Open Innovation Department, Eramet, who will provide an overview of the global mining and metallurgy operations. Then we will hear from Buondai Nestler, Marketing and Finance Officer at EIT Raw Materials, who will introduce their business and the context of the challenge. Last but not least, we will have Frédéric Camuset, Group Safety and Prevention Vice President of Eramet, who will then take a look at the key safety issues they are seeking solutions for. So this is pretty much a model that we use with other mining companies in the last few years. Basically, there's a challenge and we're looking for solutions within the Australian Mets. As I mentioned, there will be an opportunity for an audience Q&A. So if you have any questions, please submit this as soon as you can. And we obviously encourage you to apply. If you believe you have a solution for some of the challenges that we presented, please apply for these through the Austmine website. So without further ado, I would like to now hand over to Marion Lenoir of Eramet to kick off with a presentation on Eramet. So welcome, Marion.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Robert, for this short introduction and for giving us the opportunity to present to Austmine members our new Open Innovation Challenge. But before talking about our challenge, I propose for those who are not familiar with our company to say a few words about the Eramet Group. Next. So Eramet today is an international player refocused on its mining and metals activities and with world-class deposits in metals that are critical for the energy transition. It is currently a major player in the extraction and transformation of metals such as manganese, nickel, titanium, and zircon, but it is also developing in critical metals for the energy transition with lithium, nickel, and cobalt salts. On these slides, you have some key figures regarding our mining and metals activities. The group employs around 8,000 people in 14 countries and 17 sites. We had last year a turnover about approximately 3.7 billion euros. Because of the challenges that our planet is facing, and because in terms of energy transition, and because metals are essential to meet these challenges, last year, the Eramet Group decided to include in its statutes its corporate purpose. And this corporate purpose is become a reference for the responsible transformation of the Earth's mineral resources for living well together. That means that we want to become a reference in how to conduct our business, respecting environment and biodiversity, local populations, and the areas they live in. Next. Because indeed, as a mining and metals company, the Eramet Group is established in several countries around the world. For instance, near Australia, as Robert said, we have world-class assets in nickel in New Caledonia, but also in Indonesia. Regarding manganese, we have in Africa a high competitive mine in Gabon, and the 6 pyrometallurgical plants to transform ore into alloys in Europe, Gabon, and USA. Eramet is also a major player in mineral sands. We produce titanium-fluorous ores in Senegal and transform them into titanium dioxide slide and high-purity pig iron in Norway. And finally, we are in Argentina. We are building a plant to produce, to extract brines from salar and produce lithium carbonate battery grade. That's for the big picture of the Eramet Group, but I propose now to go into little more details about our mining activities. Next. Yes, for the manganese business unit, we can say that Eramet is the largest producer of high-grade manganese ore, thanks to our mine in Moanda, in Gabon, operated by Comilog, which is a subsidiary of Eramet. The ore is transported by train in Gabon, and this train is operated by a railway company, Cetrag, which is also a subsidiary of the group. The ore is transformed into manganese alloys thanks to 6 pyrometallurgical plants in Europe, United States, and Gabon. And these manganese alloys are essential, for instance, for the production of carbon steel that are used mainly for the automotive, rail, and construction industries. On this slide, for the manganese business unit, you have some key figures. We produced last year 7 million tons of manganese ore, and also more than 700 kilotons of manganese alloys. And we can also say that the manganese business unit represented last year approximately 62% of our sales turnover. That's it for the manganese. Let's move on to the nickel business unit now. Eramet processes ores from nickel mines in New Caledonia, as I said before, but also in Indonesia. In New Caledonia, it is SLN, Société Le Nickel, that processes nickel from 5 mines, and there is also a pyrometallurgical plant to transform the nickel ore into ferronickel alloy. In Indonesia, we have one of the world's largest nickel deposits, and we had a partnership with the Chinese companies Tsingshan to operate it. We have this deposit is designed for several units. Is designed to power several units to process ores into ferronickel alloys. Ferronickel alloys is mainly used for stainless steel production. And we can also note on this slide that our nickel business unit represents in terms of sales turnover last year around 29% of our sales turnover. Next. As I said before, Eramet is also a major player in mineral sands. We produce titanium ores and zircon in Senegal, thanks to Grande Côte Opération, GCO. The ore is also transported by train from the mine to the port of Dakar, thanks to GCO. And the ore is extracted and then separated on one side into zircon, which is essentially used for ceramics, and on the other side on raw materials, titanium raw materials containing raw materials. And this titanium slags this titanium is transformed in Norway into the titanium dioxide slag. And this is used mainly for the industry of pigments. Our mineral sands business units represent around 9–10% of our turnover last year. And finally, regarding our lithium activity, next. As I said before, we have a world-class deposit in Argentina. We extract brine from salar and transform it into lithium carbonate, a basic compound for the energy storage industry. We start the construction of the plant at the end of last year, and we have a plan to start of production for mid-2024. For this plant in Argentina, we will use an innovative process developed by Eramet, developed by its innovation center, Eramet IDs in France, using a direct extraction process and an active solid to extract and concentrate lithium. The annual production target is 2026. In 2026 will be 24 kilotons lithium carbonate equivalent. So that's for our mining activities. But as I said before, next. As I said before, and at the beginning of my presentation with our corporate purpose, we can say that Eramet has a strong CSR commitment also, and it is concretely formalized with its CSR roadmap. The CSR, as you can see on this slide, the CSR roadmap was implemented in 2018 and focusing on 3 main areas and 13 objectives. With these objectives are concrete KPIs, and this is really a precise program that guides the group regarding its environmental and societal ambitions. And as all starts with men and women of the group, you can see that number 1 objective is to ensure the health and safety of our employees and subcontractors, of our Eramet employees and subcontractors, and that is on that objective that we will have a focus today. Next. Yes, because of course, safety is an absolute priority for Eramet and is it is a prerequisite for our sustainable performance. For instance, the KPI written in the CSR roadmap in 2018 were the following. We wanted to reduce to 0 the number of deaths and to achieve a workplace accident frequency rate below 4. And the fact is that in just 5 years, we can see that mindset has completely changed within the group, and that the collective commitment enables us to divide our workplace accident frequency rate by 6. That means that we avoided around 1,000 accidents. But now it's time to raise the bar and to achieve our new target to achieve 0 accidents in 2023, because even if we have decreased the number of accidents, we did not eradicate all the severe accidents in particular, because just 1 year ago, a contractor died in our site in Weda Bay in an accident, and this is just not acceptable. And that's why we want really to raise the bar, and we need to treat the latest risky behavior and situations. And that's why the group is multiplying initiative to achieve this new target. And today, that's why also we are here today in front of you to present one of this initiative, which is our new Open Innovation Challenge. Next, our Eramet Safety First Innovation Challenge, which will be presented now by Fondai. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion, for this introduction. I will continue. Thank you for the opportunity to present us today and the Eramet Open Innovation Challenge that EIT Raw Materials is partnering with. I would like to introduce first of all EIT Raw Materials. Next slide, please. Because you may not know our partnership. We are the largest European partnership in raw materials, covering the entire raw materials chain. We build on a large community of partners, including industry, academia, and research, which count more than 300 partners, one of them being Eramet, to explain you where the basis of our partnership comes from. We have 16 different locations across Europe. We operate near our ecosystems, and I'm based at the Innovation Hub Central, based in France. Our mission is to support the secure of critical raw materials, and we invest into innovation, education, and research. One of our main focus points is to invest into SMEs and startups that bring the innovation to the industry, and also be the future suppliers and customers of large industry. Next slide, please. Now, Eramet and EIT Raw Materials have a long partnership on innovation projects, and we are very honored to be partnering also on open innovation initiatives that have been launched in 2020 with the first innovation challenge focusing on real-time monitoring. The concept has been the same, so I will explain the concept later on in more detail. So in the end of the challenge, we were honored or delighted to find the best solution to fit this specific thematic. The winner was a startup, a French startup called Sysprobe, that provide a unique, innovative solution to monitor mine tailings using noise-based seismic imaging. On the basis of this great success in the first edition, we continued our collaboration last year with the challenge called Responsible Mining, with more focus on thematics that support the future of mining being transforming into responsible business. And the winner in last year's edition was a German startup, BindX, that provide a biological dust control solution. You may have seen them on Mining magazine, Mining Weekly. So they have now ramped up the activities, and also thanks to Eramet. And we are very pleased to announce today the next Eramet Innovation Challenge. Next slide, please. Which is the Eramet Safety First Innovation Challenge. You will see in the context of what Marion presented that health and safety is in the focus, being in the focus, or one of the 5 priorities. And therefore, we have launched this challenge to seek innovative solutions coming from startups and SMEs that could respond to specific challenges that are not exclusive, but I think they are of general importance to the industry. Next slide, please. So I will not go into detail because Frederick is best positioned to explain this later on, but we've grouped the thematic into 3 main categories, which is safety and transportation. So everything around safety, transport and logistics, sorry, safety of lone workers, safety of workers working at remote exploration sites, for example. And the 3rd category being the man-machine interaction in the mining and metallurgical processing. Next slide, please. So how does it work? It is a challenge. So the aim is to find the best solution for Eramet's challenge. We have launched it at our flagship event, the Raw Materials Summit in May. And the call is an open call that runs for around about 3 months. And the application deadline is the 1st of September. The application is through a platform online, very simple application form to allow us to assess the solution. We consider all eligible applications and select the 10 best ones to be invited to pitch in front of the jury of Eramet experts. And after this pitching, so the second stage will be that the 3 best teams will be coached, so get really expert knowledge to validate the solution, to prepare the pilot. And then the aim is to present a final project to Eramet Executive Committee at a final event, which will be organized in January, February next year. Next slide, please. Next. So what are the reasons to participate? There are many good reasons. I think the main motivation for young entrepreneurs is that to participate in this challenge and to win the challenge will raise their visibility at the top level. One of the greatest thing about this initiative is that the commitment of the whole Eramet group is behind. So we see an interest from their executive committee to really learn about and get to know innovative entrepreneurs that can work with the Arrowhead group. And in addition to this, of course, the winning startup will sign a collaboration contract with Eramet for up to 50,000 euros to implement this project together with Eramet. And of course, there is also the potential for a long-term collaboration. So this is in get to the final, but not only, you can also be a winner, just be part of the challenge and validate your solution with Eramet. Next slide, please. To close, maybe I can invite you to have a look on the Open Innovation website of Eramet Raw Materials. You can see the address where you can find more details on the Eramet challenge and find the link to apply. So please bear in mind, the 1st of September is the deadline, and you can become the next winner of the Eramet Open Innovation Challenge. Thank you. Next.
Okay, so thank Pondai. Thank you very much for your presentation. I would like now to invite Frédéric to continue the last section of the presentation. Frédéric, over to you, please.
Sure, thank you, Robert. Hopefully you can hear me well. All right. So on my side, so I'm the safety and prevention VP for Eramet Group. Before going into the different slides, I just want to make a very quick intro to give you maybe some highlights and figures about where we stand in terms of safety in the Eramet Group. As Marion was saying before, we are coming from pretty far in terms of safety performance. We have our main KPIs is the frequency rate 2, which includes both lost time and non-lost time incidents, including employees and contractors. And about 5 years ago, we had this AFR2, which was standing at a very high level of about 12. Today, in fact, even slightly above 12. Today, we are standing at 2.2, so we have reduced quite significantly our AFR2 rates. but it still means that we've got more than 100 accidents every year involving our employees and contractors across the world. So we just can't stop there and feel comfortable and happy with that. On top of that, we not only record performance across FR2, but we also track very diligently what we call high potential incidents or high potential observations. So before they actually happen to become real severe accidents, we try to spot those activities and those issues and solve and reduce the gap as soon as possible in a more proactive mode than being reactive. And this is really the idea of what we are trying to do here in this Open Innovation Challenge. We want to find solutions in order to solve some issues that we know are happening on the field, and on which we want to prevent things to happen before they go really bad. We do have what we call the Safety 4.0 program, which involves some digital solutions that we are already starting to implement, such as fatigue management solutions to make sure that people are spotted if they are too tired or to actually take on their jobs, or anti-collision solutions also for collisions between heavy vehicles, light vehicles, pedestrians. This type of digital solutions are already part of our program. But of course, we are still looking for further. And I'm going to present to you 6 use cases or 6 examples of what we're looking for. We have, in fact, a bit more in our portfolio right now, but I think it's worth focusing on those 6 first, just to give you a good idea of what we're looking for. So the first one that you see here on the slide is about exploration. We have a few exploration activities with some teams going on around the world, working as per definition of the exploration in pretty remote areas with a lack of communication means, and pretty hard to exactly understand what is going on a daily basis in those type of activities. So the teams are quite autonomous. They know how and what to do in terms of exploration, but sometimes they are a bit far from let's say the best practice in terms of safety. So we have to provide those teams some means, first of all, communicating better and being localized better in case we have any type of incidents and they need to be helped and supported as soon as possible. So to ensure that we provide rapid and effective emergency support when it's necessary. But again, further than that, in a more preventive manner, we are also looking for some ways to help the team on their daily activities in terms of logistics. So you see here typically a picture of mining drill boxes that we have to move around in the middle of the jungle. We are looking for some smart and better ways of doing this type of activities. And again, the idea here is to help the team to prevent any accidents to happen before it happens. So really two topics here. One, finding ways of having better and almost real-time type of communication means with those teams in case they need some urgent help. And the other one more in a preventive manner to help them in their mining activities, exploration activities, such as moving around some heavy boxes that you see here on this picture. So next one for the second example. As you have seen in Marion's presentation, we do have some railway operations on top of our mining operations. This is very critical in terms of safety. We had in previous years some fatalities on the railway lines involving our train drivers. But here, and of course, we are tackling this specific issue. But here, what we are talking about is above and behind our own employees. We are talking about community protection. So CSR is very important for Eramet, and this is part of our CSR, not only protecting our employees and contractors, but also protecting our communities against some hazards of our activities. And typically, operating a railway is a big hazard for those communities living very close to the railway line. So we are looking for a system to warn the population as much as early as possible of crossing trains so that people can move away from the danger. We do have a lot of coactivity and a lot of potential collision with either vehicles that are crossing the line or even people living very close to the line. So of course, this is a very high danger. So we have to allow the crane crew to react better, earlier, as soon as possible, but also as much as possible to have the community be warned of forthcoming train. So this is our second example, very important for us in terms of CSR globally. Next slide, please. So the third example is one of our highest risks as of today. We have, of course, as any mining company, a lot of haulage activity, and which is increasing very, very much. Typically, we have our big site in Indonesia, in Weda Bay, Indonesia, which is today having about 600 trucks running on the haulage road of 37 kilometers road. So inside the mining areas, 600 trucks running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it's a huge, huge activity, huge traffic. And of course, because of this traffic, it involves a pretty high risks of collision, of truck accidents, of lots of different issues. As was mentioned before, in April 2021, we had one fatality across the Eramet group. It was on this road in Indonesia with this truck that you see here on the picture on the right-hand side, which actually got too much speed on the slope, was not able to brake sufficiently, and actually ended up its path into the berm, and the driver inside the cabin suffered some injuries and deceased in hospital 6 weeks after this tragic accident. So we don't want this to happen ever again. We have done some work to improve the situation out there, but there is still a lot to do. So definitely haulage accidents is one of our key priorities. We, of course, rely a lot on contractors who are driving those trucks and providing also those trucks. We have worked, as I said before, on a few digital systems, such as fatigue management systems and some anti-collision systems. But any other good ideas to help reduce and avoid accidents in this type of environment will be more than welcome in this context of Open Innovation Challenge. So that's haulage operation. Next, please. This one is probably something which is familiar to a lot of you. We have to protect machines that, of course, have a high risk of injuring people, especially when you have some turning elements of the machine. So we have to make sure that they are all safeguarded. So we do put protections around most of our machines, and this has been a program now that has been running for a few years. However, one issue that we've got with these safeguards and protections around the machine is that when you have to maintain, to clean, or whatever type of tasks you need to do on the machine, there is a risks that those guards are removed and not placed back into their position. And therefore the machine may start without being guarded again. Even though we do have work permits to work around those machines, and we close the work permits, sometimes it doesn't work as well as what the theory says, and therefore those moving machineries may start again with people working close to it, and therefore a high level of hazards. So we want to find a way to track this, to map the different critical points where we may miss some safeguards, and to have some types of real-time alert systems for the operations, for the safety guys or ladies, to inform them of any unprotected machine so that they can do something about it. Of course, the whole thing is here again to prevent any injuries to happen before they do so. So that's about machine guarding. Next, please. The next one is about lockout tagout, so a very typical type of process to make sure that we control energy release, whether it's electrical, hydro, or whatever type, mechanical, whatever type of energy. The LOTO process, of course, is defined pretty clearly in all of our sites. However, the compliance against this process is yet another story. So we have to, and we are looking for a way to detect absence or defect of the LOTO process through any type of artificial intelligence or simulations or anything over that could be smart enough to detect that there is something wrong in the different steps of the process. So, of course, we are all thinking about some missing locks, but as you know, LOTO process is not about putting some locks on some valves or others. It's also about checking the absence of energy. It's also about making sure that we isolate well, that we have a good demarcation around the area which is at stake. All those different steps of the LOTO process, if one is missing, can put people at risks. So we are looking here again about some new ways of monitoring the compliance of this LOTO process against the reality of the field. Next, please. And one last example, this one is pretty large. We are here talking about any type of risky activities which are linked to some hazards, and most of the time to some work permit areas. So we want to make sure that we have a way to detect and therefore to prevent some people not authorized to be in a specific area or doing a specific job in an area which is not authorized or authorized under very strict authorization and permits. Here we are looking for some again a real-time type of system that will detect typically the misuse of a tool. We have, as an example, a lot of issues with the use of crowbars. Crowbars are used in very specific circumstances. As you know, they are a pretty hazardous type of tool, and we want to reduce as much as possible the use of this tool. If we can have some systems based on camera or whatever else that will detect the misuse of such a tool, we will be able again to react and to prevent this to continue like this. So based on this type of risk analysis in specific areas or specific tools, we are looking for a system that may control better the risk and inform those who can intervene to do so as soon as possible before an accident happens. So that's this one, which is pretty large, but on which I think some creative ideas can bring a lot of value. So that's it for the 6 examples I wanted to share with you. And again, I think now is the time for Q&A. So I will leave the floor to you, Robert, and the rest of the crew. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Frédéric, for sharing this 6 examples. So thank you very much for the presentation. That as alerted, this is an opportunity for some questions or any suggestions. So please use the Q&A box. I have one from Warren Schneider. Is the scope limited to the 6 examples only? So is the program limited to the 6 examples that you just presented, Frédéric?
Yes, I can answer to this question. Of course not. Frédéric decided to present, because we have only 1 hour webinar, to present the 6 safety priorities, but we are open to any safety innovative solutions you can have in terms of safety for us, of course.
Okay, thank you. A question I have, oh sorry, there's another question. So, no. Okay, no, that was just a comment. A question I have, given you know, this is a European initiative. What is the how can Australian companies or other companies outside Europe participate? Are there any restrictions? If you maybe provide some examples.
No, it's not a European initiative. It's an international challenge. Okay. Last year, we organized this kind of open innovation challenge on the thematic of sustainable, responsible mining. Sorry, and we have some applicants from Chile, for instance, or Africa, or whatever. So it's the same rules for all the countries.
Okay, thank you for that. And just again, maybe Marion or Frédéric, what are the like the selections or the screening criteria you're using basically when a company submits an applications? What are maybe the top 5? What are your screening criteria? Maybe we can talk about this briefly.
Yes, I can answer again on this question. We have, of course, the subject of the solution, because we have some safety priorities, but we are looking also about the TRL, the technical readiness level. You know, we want to have preferably a solution that we can put directly on our site. We are regarding also the innovation, the creativity of the solution, and the feasibility, of course, for our company. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. There's another question from Ben Richards. How many safety incidents are as a result of impairment, for example, overtiredness? How many safety incidents are as a result of impairment of tiredness?
Yeah, I can answer to that, Robert. It's not out of the 122 accidents that we had last year. It's very few of them are the results of tiredness. It's less than 10, but those ones are pretty severe, as you can imagine. So it's not the number, it's more the level of severity. So because we are talking about tiredness either of drivers of trucks or drivers sometimes of trains, you can imagine the consequences when those guys actually fall asleep. Okay. So very few, but pretty severe ones.
Thank you. One more question came here. Where can the other examples to be viewed? You know, you mentioned you presented 6. The other examples, I don't know how many are there. Somewhere to be seen. What other areas of safety focus you have? Is it on the official website?
No, we have the three main topics you see in the presentation of Fondi. So if you think that your solution is included in these topics, and I sent to Sheldon and Robert more examples. Maybe you can share these ones to your members. That's not a problem. Yeah.
No. So just for everybody. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
And Robert, yeah, sorry. And just to be precise here, we try to pick the 6 which are the most generic ones. We have others which are more specific. I'm thinking about typically one on the rotary kiln that we have in one of our plants in Norway. It's a pretty specific type of topic, and well, of course, there is no reason why you cannot have access to it. But here we really try to pick up the ones which were the most generic ones.
Absolutely. So just answering the question that came through now, obviously the recording will be shared on our website, and obviously the presentation as well. And if you have any specific queries, please send this to either Sheldon or myself, and we will forward this to the key person. There is another question from Sergio. Are the winners accepted as suppliers automatically, or are there commercial and systems, e.g. ICO hurdles to obtain supplier registration with Eramet? So are the winners accepted as suppliers automatically, or do they have to go through the ISO hurdles to obtain supplier registration? I don't know, maybe from the procurement point of view, Marion, or?
Yes, I'm not sure to be able to answer to this question, but I think that you have to register with Eramet to obtain supplier registration with Eramet at the first time. So the second solution.
Sergio, we will keep this question and forward this to within the organization. We provide you with an answer.
Yeah. Okay.
Are there any other questions or comments? I believe we answered. Okay. Okay. So thank you very much. Look, if there are no further questions or comments, I would like to thank the Eramet team, Marion and Frédéric, for their presentations, and also Wang Dai from EIT Raw Materials for the presentation. This is an exciting start of a collaboration between Austmine and our friends at Eramet and EIT Raw Materials. And there'll be more projects, more opportunities to work together, collaborate coming, surely, no doubt. Stay tuned for some news coming from New Caledonia at some stage, but also from other operations. So again, thank you very much for your time. I would like also to thank all our members and supporters of Austmine for attending the webinar. As I said, there will be more information about posting you will find shortly after this on our website. Can I go to the next slide? Obviously, we have more webinars coming up over the next weeks. There are different topics, different geographies, also some events we will have in Perth and in Sydney over the next few weeks. So please stay tuned and participate. These are very informational and educational events. And the last but not least slide. And obviously, as you might have heard, the Austmine 23 conference was launched in May. So it will take place next year in Adelaide, in South Australia, between the 11th and 9th of May. And we hope we will see our friends from Eramet participating with presentations or at least attendees. So it will be good to see you again, maybe face to face at the Austmine conference. So again, thank you very much to our presenters. Thank you very much for Kylie supporting with Sema this webinar. Stay safe, and until next time, we'll stay in touch. Okay, all the best.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.